I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to greet everybody that's here this evening and those watching on cable. This is the last meeting of this calendar year. And the first item on our agenda, we have minutes of December 2nd, regular and executive sessions. Mrs. Manapelli?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the December 2nd, 2015 regular session minutes.
Second.
Second by Mr. Yule. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Executive session of December 2nd, Mrs. Manapelli.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the December 2nd, 2015 executive session minutes as written.
Second.
Second by Mr. Yule. On the motion,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? We also have the minutes of December 7th, regular session. Mrs. Manapelli.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the December 7th, 2015 regular session minutes as written.
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Leary.
I wrote you.
I
Mr.
did
Yule.
two of you.
I didn't say anything.
You didn't say anything.
You
Was it
started-
Mr. Yule? Second by Mr. Yule.
I'm developing
Yeah.
a dialect.
When you're ready for comment.
Yeah, discussion.
Yes, just on page 8 of the minutes, under my input, I didn't notify the board and the public that I was a voting member of the Economic Empowerment Trust Fund. I said I was a part of the Economic Development Planning Council.
Planning Council.
That's Secretary
right.
Ash's Economic
correct.
Development Council. So
I recall that.
I think there was just maybe a mistake on that in the notes, so if we could make that amendment.
As amended? Yes. On the motion as amended, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? We also have an executive session that day.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the December 7th executive session minutes as written.
Second.
Second by Mr. Yule. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Have anyone here for public comment? No? Amend the civil fingerprinting policy, Mr. Gilberto.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The motion in the packet would call for the revision of the board's policy with regard to civil fingerprinting to permit that the $70 fee paid to the town on an annual basis for the fingerprint analysis be waived for somebody who is seeking to renew the same individual on the license, no change in the identity, as well as having somebody who's filed in a timely fashion pursuant to the discussion last week.
So, just to clarify, I thought the fee was based on two pieces.
It is.
Right. So are we waiving the entire?
We cannot waive the, well, I suppose we could, but I
No.
wouldn't recommend waiving the entire fee because $30.
So it's just the town side?
Just the town portion, yes.
Mr. Prisco.
I thought, were you able to capture, I didn't see it in there, that if they're late submitting their application, that,
I believe the motion notes that the waiver is only for somebody who's filed in a timely
Oh,
fashion.
timely fashion, okay.
Yes.
thank you.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I will be abstaining from the discussion and the vote on this as it affects Class 2 automobile license holders, and I have a family member who holds one of those, so therefore I will not be participating in discussion, nor will I be deliberating with the board or voting. I'll be abstaining.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And I abstain.
Abstentions?
Thank you.
One abstention.
Who
Mr.
made the
O'Leary.
motion?
What?
Whose motion? Should,
Who made the motion?
Did we not make a motion?
I thought I heard you say it.
Yeah.
I thought I heard you say it too. I apologize.
who did?
You did.
I believe you
Okay.
had the motion, so.
All right.
Yeah, and I seconded it.
It's the end of the year.
There's no
We're all
replay.
worn out already.
You're a lot faster than you thought.
Way ahead.
Okay.
So Frisco seconds or?
I second.
I'm gonna,
Yeah,
yeah,
second.
okay.
Okay. Kinder Morgan, approve the interventor filing and review the town land.
Mr. Chairman, I
Gilberto.
had indicated on Thursday when the packet was assembled that we had a draft that was pending review from town council. We did receive a revised version back from town council, and I placed it in the Dropbox folder this afternoon. It's identified as a separate file, intervenor request
Oh, okay.
2015.
I was wondering what
clean.
that was.
It's very similar to what was submitted. There were a few presentation changes and legal form changes, but the substance remains the same, with the exception that we added a reference to the fact that the route will pass through North Reading to the tune of over 3 miles, crossing at least 40 unique parcels of land, which is something that was suggested by town council that we add, which we've done.
It's just general over 40, because I thought we had a count of 43 or something.
We had it at 42. 2 of them were abutters to the parcel, and there was a lack of clarification from Kinder Morgan as to what exactly that means.
Okay.
So for purposes of accuracy, we know that there are 40 that are directly impacted, that are being traversed, and so we've identified it by that number.
Comments, Mr. Yule?
Yes. Mr. Gilberto has really done a fine job in pulling this together. We have talked at various times, making sure that the wording and what needed to be included was included. But I just, the yeoman's work that he's done on this needs to be recognized. I also wanted to take an opportunity to talk briefly, if it's okay, Chair, with regard to the intervenor process for citizens.
Let's keep it brief.
Okay, yeah, no problem. The intervening, the time period for intervening will end tomorrow, the 22nd. All right, is that correct?
10 more days.
Oh, 10 more days.
10 more days, that's correct. For purposes of planning, we'd encourage anyone to file by December 31st.
December 31st.
Yes.
Okay,
We
I
had the-
didn't see that change, okay.
I'm confused.
I thought it was tomorrow, but apparently I'm incorrect.
Okay.
The intervening process to intervene for residents and for us, the town, okay, is December 31st.
Now December 31st,
Right,
okay.
right. I thought it was sooner than that. I don't know why.
So we should make that point, is
21
that
days. Yeah.
our citizens that are impacted, they
Yes.
have until December
December
31st
31st.
to file.
We were told, again, based on feedback from the Pipeline Coalition, 21 days from the date of notice in the Federal Register. And the
Right,
date of notice
right.
was December 11th, if I remember correctly.
22 days, okay. I see why I made a mental
Okay.
mistake, okay. But I also want to take this opportunity, that being the case, with December 31st being the final day, there is a process for those who motion to intervene out of time, is the quote-unquote description that they give on the website. It's accessible, still with the instructions that we have on the website. It's part of that page. You just have to go towards the bottom more. The purpose of that is that, and I'm just going to read this quickly. The key purpose of the intervention deadline is to determine early on who the interested parties are and what information and arguments they can bring to bear. Interested parties are not entitled to hold back awaiting the outcome of the proceeding or to intervene when events take a turn not to their liking. The Commission's regulations dealing with motions of late intervention state that in acting on such a motion, a decision authority may consider whether the movements have good cause for not filing timely, any disruption of the proceeding that might result from permitting intervention, whether the movement's interest is adequately represented by other parties, and whether any prejudice to or additional burden on existing parties might result from permitting intervention. Late intervention at the early stages of a proceeding generally does not disrupt the proceeding or prejudice the interest of any party. The Commission is therefore more liberal in granting late intervention at the early stages of a proceeding. A petitioner for a late intervention, however, bears a higher burden to show good cause for late intervention after the issuance of a final order in a proceeding, and generally it is commission policy to deny late intervention at the rehearing stage, even when the movant claims that the decision established a broad policy of general application. And the reason why I bring this to the attention of the general public is that if for some reason someone doesn't file for an intervener process within the 21-day period, they still can do so afterwards, but there's a word of caution.
It better be
in
for a
that
good reason.
You have to have good reason. So, but I thought I would be remiss if I didn't bring that to.
Yeah,
to
the word of
public's
caution is
attention.
get it in now.
That's correct, that's correct. And let's assume it's tomorrow.
Just for clarification, and then comment by the rest of the board members, is we as a board haven't taken a position regarding whether the community, the area needs gas, more gas or not. Our position is related specifically to the pathway, because there are many other pathways that would have less impact on those in the community as a whole. Jeff?
Yeah, that would be my interpretation as well, as far as my reading of the board members. I don't think we're in a position to determine whether gas is, there is the need for gas or not, but the pathway of the pipeline is concerning, at least for me, and I know at that point I can't speak for the board members, but the pathway of the pipeline is concerning. It just seems to me that there are other opportunities or another route that they could take to achieve this pipeline. Might be more expensive for Kinder Morgan, but nonetheless they could do that. I included that as part of my my intervention as I did earlier today. Individually, I became an intervener to the process.
Anyone else? We have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the filing of a request for intervenor status with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission.
Second.
Second by Mr. Yule. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just a note as a follow-up to the last board meeting, there was some discussion with regard to the town-owned property information sheets and a desire to see them updated to perhaps reflect what future use we might have for the parcels, particularly with regard to utilities. That's something that the Department of Public Works and the Planning Commission, the town planner, I should say, have undertaken and are doing. They've gotten most of the way through it. I do expect that we'll have any modifications to those sheets for the next meeting on January 11th. And my hope is that we'll be able to file those with Kinder Morgan shortly thereafter. We did make a commitment to the property owners who had contacted us with regard to their particular concerns that we would file their statements with Kinder Morgan. So my suggestion would be is that we forward those sheets, those property information sheets to Kinder Morgan for the non-town-owned land, just so that we don't lose any time for those particular areas. And unless there's any objection, we'll do that by mail this week.
Okay, great.
I think we have about half a dozen or so that have come back, 6 properties that have chosen to file with us.
In my mail tonight, there's a letter from Kinder Morgan dated, received December 10th. I don't know if you have copies of this.
It's a project update, I believe it's called, something like that.
It's addressed to me with no copy, the letter. Then there's,
What's the title of the subject one?
title is Tennessee, regarding Tennessee gas line.
Yes.
Okay, so you got that?
I have it.
Do you have this? Oh, this is just a flyer.
Right.
And then this went to landowner. Did that come to the town? Landowner being, in our case, the town.
Does not look familiar to me, so
So why don't you,
I'll get the original back.
I have not read any of this, it was just
I'll
tonight.
get you this one back.
Okay. Moving on, anything else on, in the Morgan?
It
Okay.
just is, we're very, I think it was really well written and it covered every area that we have a concern of, so that's all.
On the ratified memorandum of agreement,
Come back after
you
executive
want to come
session.
back? Okay. License renewals, I guess we'll take them in any order that you have them on the pile, okay?
We'll get the
rather
pens
than
out.
All right.
Me calling them out.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the following common victualler licenses to expire December 31st, 2016, subject to all regulatory department requirements. Horseshoe Lounge, Kitty's Restaurant and Lounge, Nan's Center Cafe, Mario's Pizza and Subs, S&M Subway of North Reading, Starbucks Coffee, The Hornet's Nest, Teresa's Prime Grill 19, Viasa LLC DBA Subway, Beyond Bagels, Captain Pizza, Dairy Queen, McDonald's, Andrea's House of Pizza, North Reading Christopher Club, Heavenly Donuts.
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Leary. Any discussion?
Glad we have so many to renew.
I'm surprised, Michael, you haven't asked if there were.
Well, it's a no, I was gonna wait.
Oh, you're going to wait, okay.
I
Well,
can
now's your
ask it now.
opportunity.
No, I was right here, I had a note on there. Do we have any that didn't submit on time, or by the end of the year? How many?
Are there any in this group?
No.
No,
There's a
they wouldn't be here.
There's a separate motion for those that did not submit on time.
Yeah,
Or
no,
submitted.
what I meant
Five.
by group, the particular license.
And we agreed that from this point forward,
Never mind,
They're
we'll
grouped
do
all
that.
together.
sorry.
Okay.
So what was it that we agreed on going forward now? They're gonna have to come back and resubmit and go through the process at the beginning of the year?
The board's comments at the last meeting were to notify the individuals that the board could consider failure to submit a renewal in a timely fashion to result in a need to have a new hearing for a new license. We're down to 5. None of them are alcoholic beverage licenses. 3 of them are common victualler licenses. One's a Class 2 license and one is a livery license. It may be that the Class 2 and the livery licenses will not be renewed due to changes in those particular businesses, but the 3 common victualers are very much active businesses.
Okay.
Okay, so on this motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. I'm going to pass them to you to start signing. Is that- Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the following common victualler all alcohol licenses to expire December 31st, 2016, subject to all regulatory department requirements. Kitty's Restaurant and Lounge, Inc., Horseshoe Lounge, Teresa's Prime Grill 19.
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Leary. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the following package store all alcohol licenses to expire December 31st, 2016, subject to all regulatory department requirements.
Second.
Oh, excuse me,
Second.
New England Beverage
Yeah, you got that.
and One Stop Liquors.
Second.
Second by Mr. Yule. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the following package store wine and malt beverage licenses to expire December 31st, 2016, subject to all regulatory department requirements. Speedway and Tedeschi Food Shops.
Second.
Second by Mr.
Thought you might have another
O'Leary.
one there.
Yeah.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the following common victualers wine and malt beverage license to expire December 31st, 2016, subject to all regulatory department requirements. Mario's Pizza and Subs.
Second.
Second by, I didn't get who seconded that. Jeff?
I did.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the following fraternal club licenses to expire December 31st, 2016, subject to all regulatory department requirements. Loyal Order of Moose, North Reading Christopher Club.
Second.
Second by Mr. Yule. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye. Mr. Chairman, I move
Unanimous?
to renew the following Class 1 licenses to expire January 1st, 2017, subject to all regulatory department requirements. North Reading Motorsports, Inc., Brian Dushak, DBA National Sales LLC.
Second.
Mr. Chairman,
Second by Mr. Yule. Mr. O'Leary.
I will be abstaining on this Class 1 license also by virtue of having Class 1, holds Class 2, able to sell used vehicles. I have a relative who holds a Class 2 license, therefore I will not be participating in discussion or deliberating with the board, and I will be abstaining.
Okay, so on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1 with one abstention.
Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the following Class 2 licenses to expire January 1st, 2017, subject to all regulatory department requirements. A1 Auto Sales, Brian Dushak, DBA National Sales LLC.
Second.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Yule.
Once again, Mr. Chairman, I will be abstaining. I have a family member who holds a Class 2 license. I will not be deliberating with the board, nor will I be voting. I'll be abstaining.
On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Pass it.
Opposed? Abstaining?
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Motion passes 4 and with one abstention.
Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the following Class 3 license to expire January 1st, 2017, subject to all regulatory department requirements. Brian Dushak, DBA National Sales LLC.
Second.
I'm okay on a 3. I'm okay on a 3.
Okay.
Second.
On the motion, seconded by Mr. Prisco. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the following automatic amusement device licenses to expire December 31st, 2016, subject to all regulatory department requirements. Loyal Order of Moose, Kitty's Restaurant and Lounge, Cowabunga's Entertainment LLC.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Yule. On the motion, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the following jukebox license to expire December 31st, 2016, subject to all regulatory department requirements.
What was that?
Loyal Order of Moose.
Second.
Second by Mr. Yule.
That was only, see.
On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the following livery license to expire December 31st, 2016, subject to all regulatory department requirements. Metro Town Car.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Minipelli, seconded by Mr. Yule. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the following licenses to expire December 31st, 2016, subject to all regulatory department requirements. Sports, Spirits and Steaks, Common Victualler, All Alcohol, Automatic Amusement Device.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Yule. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
This is the one that didn't renew, Mike?
So we've gotten through the supplemental ones that came in after the packet. $63. Okay.
Those just need to be signed. Right?
There's a vote for it as well to sign.
Those last two.
These are the ones that didn't file a renewal?
Correct.
Okay.
And there should be 5 of them on there. Again, we expect that in 2 of the cases, they may not file because of a change in their business operation or closure.
Oh, I see, okay. Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the following licenses to expire December 31st, 2016, subject to a status review on January 11th, 2016, and further subject to all regulatory department requirements. Greenbrier Classic Motors, Class 2. Wendy's Common Victualler. Mike's Famous Roast Beef, Common Victualler. North Reading Transportation, Livery. Dunkin' Donuts, North Reading, Maine, OP, LLC, Common Victualler, and to further instruct the town administrator to notify said licensees that if they do not submit a complete renewal application in advance of the January 11, 2016 Board of Selectmen meeting, their license will not be renewed and they will be ordered to cease all business operations.
Second for discussion.
Seconded by Mr. Prisco. Mr. Gilbert.
So what we tried to do is take the motion that we had worked on with the board and with town council last year and put additional clarity to it. Obviously, this motion would allow the establishments, again, particularly the 3 that we know are very active, to continue to operate past January 1st, up until the first meeting in January. Certainly it's the board's pleasure, but in terms of how to handle the non-renewal, non-submission of renewal application that's occurred with regard to these businesses, but we tried to take what we used last year and put a little more clarity to it. But it's the board's decision as to how to handle. Again, for 3 of them, very active businesses with no application received whatsoever.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Prisco.
I'm sorry, Mrs.
No, it's okay.
Sure.
Go ahead. I didn't see you reading.
Can we have a late fee? Is that possible? Is that legal under our bylaw?
I'm not aware that there's a provision for being late under the fee schedule. That's not to say that we couldn't establish such a late fee.
Well, wouldn't it just make some sense here, because the town is burning a lot of our labor hours following up with these people. And if I could ask Jane a question, if it's okay?
Sure.
How early do you start? Again, I know you said this before, but I just want to get it again for the record.
Today or every day?
No, when you started this process,
Oh.
you started
Renewal, notify people renewal.
3 months
Time to
ago.
pick it up this morning.
Every day.
When you started, it was 3 months ago, 4
He's
months
still
ago?
working on it, Mike.
October 27th, we sent out the first letter.
October 27th.
And then we sent out, and they were due November 23rd. And then we sent another letter asking them to get it back in
December 16th.
December 16th.
That was sent about December 1st or so.
Okay? So, this is making my point, and I'm not trying to, businesses have to make money, and I want them to all be successful, but this is unreasonable. And every year, I've been here for 6 years, we continue to have the same problem. So if we're gonna allow this to happen, we're gonna give them another opportunity to come back in January and allow their businesses to run till January 11th. It's not right. It's more money that the town has to burn to get this complete, so I don't know if the board has the stomach for it, but there should be a significant late fee for this, because, Jane gets paid a ton of money.
I do.
You see how early she comes in. Joking aside, it's a fact, and we can never recoup that money for her hours.
Her time.
Just,
Wait for me.
I have a license that was signed by myself, Mr. Prisco, Mr. O'Leary, and Mr. Yule. And it was the second page. Mr. O'Leary and Mr. Yule missed it, so I'm staying back that way.
Oh, demerits down there.
Will we be fine?
Yes, Miss-
Okay, I just wanted to ask you, I think Mr. Prisco just answered, but is this common with these establishments, or is it just common in general that you get a grouping that doesn't answer you?
So this is only the second time I've done this, but there is one on here, actually 2 on here, that it's not their first time.
There you go.
Which ones are those?
Dunkin' Donuts and North Reading Transportation. North Reading, they handed in all the information, but they just haven't completed what's required of them.
Can you explain more what that means?
They haven't contacted the police department to be fingerprinted yet.
Okay.
That's a big deal.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
Mr. Gilberto would like to be recognized.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can I finish my comment, though? I'm sorry,
Oh, no,
before I
I'm
lose
sorry.
this out of my...
Please.
Go ahead.
We should make them have a date certain, not give them up to January 11th, that when your application is due back now, because now it's come to the licensing authority's attention.
Yeah.
Now it's due, so that it can be reviewed, and it has to all be in order on X date. And then, that's it. If they don't have a common victuals, they close. You know,
let's amend the
they're running
motion.
that risk by not doing what you need them to do.
Mr. Gilberto, would like to be recognized.
Yes, right.
Sorry,
I asked somebody to pick up
No,
on it.
Selectmen, it's as if you were in the office with Ms. Brooks and I this afternoon when we discussed the very same thing, which was to provide a date certain for the deadline for the materials submitted. So for us to put them in the board's packet, to give the board 48 hours to review on, as is identified under the open meeting law, we would need to have the documentation by the end of the day on Wednesday, January 6th. So the letter that we
It's
send to
amended.
them will identify that. I certainly would welcome any instruction
December
to amend it.
31st.
Yeah, that's great, because then you get the chance to see.
December 31st, I would say.
Is it in order for you? Are they fingerprinted? Is everything in order? You have to assess that too.
It does take us time, yeah, absolutely.
I still would like some clarification. Jane said something, everybody has submitted, but they haven't followed through with some.
No.
No, I think just as clarification, Greenbrier Classic Motors was Mr. Stan Davis, who just recently passed away. So my guess is that there'll have to be some sort of a settlement with them. They're still grieving, so that one there, I grant a little more leeway. And in the past, there was a situation with Mr. Nazzaro's Class 2 license that was not renewed because he had passed away at about the same time of year. And we did renew it later on in the year. Now, the problem with the Class 2 licenses are that they're supposed to, once they expire, they can't be renewed, according to the zoning bylaw. But again, you have some extenuating circumstances, as we did with Mr. Nazzaro and now with Mr. Davis. So just to make the board aware as to what you want to do.
So, getting back to the comments that Jane made, though, you said some of them have submitted, but they didn't go to the police station to get the fingerprinting. Is there confusion over that, or?
No.
No.
So that was actually the first comment I was going to make, which was
Okay,
that.
I apologize.
That's okay. Well, we have reason to believe that North Reading Transportation may not be seeking to renew its livery application as well, based on a conversation I had with the licensee last year, that it was not something that he was actively operating at this point in time. So it may be that he's declining to follow through with the process, but we'll notify him and give him the option to comply, and it'll be his decision. He would not qualify for the waiver of the fingerprint fee pursuant to the board's approval tonight and the discussion that we had two weeks ago, because it's not been filed in a timely fashion. So I know that's been a concern of some license holders.
Mrs. Mattelli?
Is the gentleman that passed away the gentleman that you've been sending the notices to?
Actually, we sent him a notice, it got returned, and sent him another one. And then we asked the building inspector to go out and drop it off, and nobody was there.
So we have reason to believe that this is one of the two who we think may not be seeking to renew.
Mr. Prisco?
Maybe, I'd like to recommend is maybe not amend the bylaw for them to take them off, but if it comes before us in January and they haven't come back, I don't think we should take action against them. I think obviously there's, an unusual set of circumstances on their behalf, and that we need to probably just be a little more flexible based on those circumstances. So, I just want that out there for the record. That's my belief. That's how I'm going to feel on January 11th.
We'll craft an appropriate letter for that license holder or their successors.
Okay, so there is a motion.
Mr. Leary had one thing.
Yeah, I would ask the board to, the chair to split the motion and take the Class 2 out of it and handle that separately so that I can vote on it. But in relation to the other ones, other than the Class 2 license. Again, I think December 31st is an appropriate deadline for them to have all their paperwork and necessary paperwork in order. Otherwise, they've gone beyond the expiration date of their license.
Yeah,
So what you're saying is, because we're not meeting until January, is that if they turn in all the paperwork, we're giving the town administrator the opportunity to allow them to continue until our next meeting.
If they have everything in by the 31st
Yeah.
of December. If they have
Yes.
not,
their license is over the first of the year.
Mhm.
So they have to,
or
They're on-
they're shut down
they have to
until
shut
it's
down.
renewed.
they shut down until they renew.
I don't-
And I would be in favor of removing the Class 2 license holder out of that motion and create a new one just for that individual, allow Selectman O'Leary to participate in the vote.
I got a feeling that's what she's doing.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Oh, so maybe not.
Hey,
I was writing the amendments under the
Okay.
assumption they were gonna be
Right.
approved, but yes, I am telepathically assuming that's what the board wants, so
So
I
we're
should have
gonna
waited.
Essentially read the same motion twice, only
Okay,
with one name removed and then with
All right.
only one name.
okay.
And Mr. Gilberto.
Mr. Gilberto.
I apologize, Mr. Chair, but the motions as written would renew the licenses until January 11th. So if the board's intention is not to allow them to renew, if the information is not submitted by December 31st, we would need to modify them accordingly.
And I believe the clerk is doing that now,
Okay.
right?
So you're just
Oh,
gonna
it's
change the
April.
date to December 31st.
We're going to add in
Mhm.
that the
Right.
paperwork has to
So
be
it's- I
Yeah.
think this date would change,
So
right?
we
in
amended
your
it.
office by close of business December 31st.
31st. All documentation is due to town administrator by close of business. I'm gonna restate it.
Actually, what's that date? The 31st.
I would
Thursday.
suggest, in the
No,
interest of
noon
there
time.
being no confusion, that we pick 24 hours earlier, only because sometimes things come in, they're not complete. We have to ask for additional information, and we won't be able to do that if it gets walked in at 10 minutes before on
Yeah.
Thursday.
Okay.
12:30.
Just a
12,
respectful
12:30.
suggestion.
Okay, so,
So December 30th is what you're proposing?
That'd be my suggestion.
This one out of this.
yeah, I get it, but we already made the motion and seconded it. Are we gonna
Yeah.
vote on
Amend
that
it.
and
Well,
deny
we
it?
just,
Or withdraw it.
Withdraw
ask the-
it?
Whoever the
withdrawn.
second,
I-
withdraw the second. And
I think Mike,
I'm withdrawing my second.
So I'm gonna read the motion then.
You're going to withdraw your motion.
Withdraw the motion. All right, Mr. Chairman, I move to renew the following licenses to expire December 31st, 2016, subject to a status review on January 11, 2016, and further subject to all regulatory department requirements. Wendy's Common Victualler, Mike's Famous Roast Beef Common Victualler, North Reading Transportation Livery, Dunkin' Donuts, North Reading, Maine, OP LLC, Common Victualler, and to further instruct the town administrator to notify said licensees that if they do not submit a complete renewal application by December 30th, 2015, due to the town administrator by close of business, that their license will not be renewed and they will be ordered to cease all business operations.
Second.
Second by Mr. Prisco. Any discussion? That sound okay to you, Michael?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
On the motion? All in favor?
Oh,
Aye.
hold on,
oh, yeah, did you leave Greenbrier or did you? No, okay, okay.
Go for it.
Go for it.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks,
Unanimous. Now, she's going to read the same thing again, only with one name, right?
Mike.
And you're going to abstain.
Is
So
this the
how-
one, Steve, that you said is?
So I think there's gonna have to be some sorting through the, I don't know who the executor of the estate is and who there's a value to this, obviously.
Do you
And it might be out of their consciousness at the moment.
Can I make a proposal, Mr. Chairman? That we don't take any action on this one and just give, because of the circumstances, we don't even take a motion on this one and just give the town administrator and maybe the the code enforcement officer another opportunity to seek some more information?
I think, Mr. Chairman, through you, a way to potentially do that would be to renew it for a period of time, perhaps the second meeting in January to review the status, or if you feel more time is warranted, the first meeting in February to review the status.
Mrs.
Just
Mazzoli.
as we're sitting here, I just kind of looked up the corporate database. I don't know if you know Carolyn Lighton. There's an address, name and an address of a president, a treasurer. There's a 189 Main Street address, a
Okay.
vice president.
Well, that's the address,
Would that be?
that's the corporate address.
So that's where you
that's
tried
not
to
where she
reach
lives.
them? Yeah, 189 Main Street. And then there's someone from Fort Myers, Florida that's listed. So you already tried to reach out to those,
Not Florida.
to that? No one's answering.
No, it's,
Yeah. Oh, okay. So they're relatives, so. So what would we do then? How are you gonna?
I would suggest that we allow at least 30 days for them to sort out what their intentions are, so that we're not contacting them right upon their grieving. So my suggestion would be to renew it pending a status review at the first meeting in February. And that would give more than enough time,
Good.
given the board's concern.
Or postpone,
okay.
postpone consideration of the renewal until first meeting in February.
I rather, that's why I made my recommendation. Let's give them a little more time. We don't have to take action. And maybe we can just readdress it at our next meeting, and at that point, we can maybe determine a final date.
No, you gotta renew the license.
I think you need an action to postpone
Um,
further consideration.
I would say some vote should happen.
Some
Okay.
consideration to-
Something has to happen.
Deliberating anyway.
All right.
I mean, there may be
So-
employees involved.
So a suggestion would be that the board is going to postpone action with regard to this particular license until the first meeting in February. Something like that.
You
But
want that
does
in the
not
form of a
the
motion?
license
There should be a motion, I think, yeah.
expire
There should be
at
something
the
on the
end of
record
month?
protecting their
At the
rights.
end of the month?
Motion.
We would either have to extend the license.
Yeah. Because non-renew means
Because we're
it's
taking, we
gone.
won't take action, Michael, until the first meeting in February. Does that mean they're,
They don't have a license.
So if we
Well,
renew,
if-
excuse me, I'm sorry.
That's all.
To-
Your turn.
Okay, to Mike's point initially was to renew it until the
Right,
consideration to February 6th meeting.
Okay.
That-
Yeah.
So moved.
That's the motion.
Okay.
so we'll just renew it up to a specific date.
Okay, so move to renew Greenbrier Classic Motors Class 2 up to February 6, 2016,
Do I hear a second?
subject to all regulatory
Mr. Yule.
department requirements.
Further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I will be abstaining as a Class 2 license. A family member holds a Class 2 license, and I will not be deliberating with the board on the matter, nor will I be participating in the discussion, and I will be abstaining.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Aye.
Vote is 4 with 1 abstention, Mr. O'Leary.
Okay. Hi, Mr.
question
Chairman.
on the license, while you're getting a little organized, if I could. What is happening with Thompson Country Club? Is that a full liquor license, or are they still beer and wine?
Right now, it's still just beer and wine.
It's just beer and wine?
That's all, I don't know what they're going to be looking for.
Okay. Because I
Because
had
they're putting in
heard,
some sort of a function facility.
I just saw that, and I had heard that they were gonna have offer a full liquor services. I was surprised. I'm not sure if Jane or Michael, you guys have heard or seen anything from them, or? I just hate to see them get to the first of the year and not be able to execute what they wanna do, or did we miss it?
But they would have to apply for, to the
Okay.
EDC.
It's fine. I wasn't sure.
They sent me Thompson Club, yeah.
No, because it's seasonal.
So we don't do the seasonals until June?
I think it's more like February or March, but yeah.
March? Okay.
If I remember last year.
Yeah, I don't know why I said June. I'm thinking town meeting. Okay. Well, maybe we'll find out then.
Okay. Any more licenses? Just the ABC?
Right, renewal certification. Mr. Chairman, I move to sign the ABCC 2016 renewal certification. It has licensee who failed to renew for 2016, license number 083800012, name and address PBL Catering Inc., DBA Hillview Country Club.
I'll second for discussion.
Mr. Yule and Mr. Gilberto?
Yes, so that is a license that was granted to PBL for the operation of the function facility. The individual will no longer be operating the facility. He's turning the license in at the end of the license period this year, December 31st. We expect that there'll be an application forthcoming from Group 1 Entertainment, which will be the operator effective April 1st. And upon receipt, we'll process it as a new application for the board, hopefully in January.
Mr. Prisco?
Is the process easier just transferring it, or do they have to go through the same process no matter what?
They'll have to go through a substantial process either way. My understanding, again, not having participated on the ABCC's end, but my understanding is that from the standpoint of the transaction, there may be less tied, so to speak, to the goings-on of the previous license holder's status. I'm sure that there will still be a review, but in this particular instance, it'll be treated basically as a new license.
Yeah. Thank you.
If you recall, when Pat Lee took over for Burton Page, there was some hang-up there because Department of
Right.
Revenue and
Right.
ABCC wouldn't do it because
So I was
there
worried
was some
of
outs. It could come into a similar situation, but fortunately, right now, I think there's enough time in between where
Okay.
Mr. Evans going to start up right away. Be enough time for everything to lapse, actually expire, and then just be a new application. It was really not a transfer, but the ABCC sometimes looks at it that way.
Right, okay, thank you.
Okay, so Kate just read a new motion. Do I hear a second?
I seconded.
All right, Mr. Yule, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Now we
No.
get to appointments, or
Appointments.
is there one more?
No, that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. You want to take a breather here, or to get
It's busy,
reorganized?
isn't it, huh?
Welcome to the board.
Is that okay?
What?
Oh, do you
Want to
want
take a
to
break?
keep going?
Would you like a 5-minute break? I can take over if you want.
No,
So
I'm-
you
I
No,
thought you wanted a
Are
break.
you ready to continue?
Oh,
or you-
yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Of
Let's
course I
continue.
am. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following names for reappointment as members of the library trustees for a term to expire on December 31st, 2008. 2 openings. 1, Sarah Ralph, 48 Lindor Road, incumbent. 2, Marianne Lafay, 3, Niblick Way, incumbent.
Second.
And that is,
Wrong.
I'm recommending both of those individuals as liaison to the library. I'm in communication with library trustees and also our librarian, who is in support of that.
Great.
So there's 2 positions and 2 candidates, correct?
Jeff
Yes.
seconded already?
It was seconded, yes.
Okay. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following name for appointment as member of the Water Commission for a term to expire on December 31st, 2018. 3 openings. Joseph Simino, 31 Northridge Drive. He's a new appointee.
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Leary. Who's the liaison?
I'm the
You and I.
liaison. Aren't I?
The Water
What?
Commission? No.
That would be me.
Oh, that's you, okay.
Oh,
And
I thought it was the Water Commission. Oh, good. It's one less meeting I have to go to.
Have you been going to the meetings?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for covering.
Actually, Mr. Simino is from Malden, where I'm from originally. He's a really very active community person, so I would recommend that the board appoint him. There's one other position available that we're going to address in the supplemental.
We still have a position to fill right after
We
this.
do, we still have 2 alternates. If we reappoint the incumbent and put Mr. Semino in.
That's my understanding. There'd be 2 alternate positions still open.
Yeah, but he's a
Okay,
very,
so we have a motion on the table. Did I hear a second? Second by Mr. O'Leary. I think this area here is going to be very important as we go forward. So I think we ought to try to make some effort to fill the entire commission and get them somewhat involved in, what we're doing, so they're up to speed. And as we get into discussions of, what we're going to do with water rates and how we're going to fund this whole program that we're marching down. So I think maybe going forward here this year, between now and the end of this fiscal year, we ought to try to recruit some additional persons. If anyone knows anybody that's interested, it would be worthwhile getting that information to Karen. Catherine? Yes, Mike?
And another thing I just want to point out on this, and it's a critical time too to have very active members, because we're acquiring capital to go to electronic meter reading. And so it's a whole new process, and there's going to be a whole new education to I think there's going to be some information for education for the public, so that's another big thing for the town coming up, so it'd be great. And it's wonderful that Mr. Simiano's willing to jump in at this stage, because it's critical. So, it's great.
On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following names for reappointment or appointment as members of the Youth Services Committee for a term to expire on December 31st, 2018. There are 3 openings. Judy Hall, 12 Upton Ave, she's an incumbent. Kathy Dardino, 36 Augustus Court, Reading, she's an incumbent. Patricia Harrington, 10 Rock Street, she's a new prospective appointment. Dawn Gonthier, 15 Hickory Lane, she's also a new prospective appointment.
So we have,
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
second by Mr. O'Leary, we have 3 positions and 4 candidates. And who's the liaison?
That would be me.
Are you making a recommendation?
I am making a recommendation. I did hear back today from Youth Services, the Youth Services Director, that their method of approach is to interview prospective new appointees. I think we should kind of strike while the iron is hot and we have interest in this, and I do know Patricia Harrington personally. She's extremely active in the community. She volunteers. She has 2 daughters who are active in the community as well and participate, and I do know her personally. I'm sure the other candidate is also equally qualified. I just know Patricia personally, and I would make a recommendation to put the incumbents back in.
Do they
That's
have
what
associate member positions, do you know?
No, there's only 1 opening because another incumbent did not want to be reappointed. So Youth Services wants the incumbents back, and the incumbents have expressed an interest in being reappointed. Only 1 did not, so it only made 1
Okay.
opening available.
So you have a recommendation on the,
For Mrs. Hall, Mrs. Dardino, and Mrs. Harrington.
okay, we have a motion and a second. We will do a roll call vote here. And maybe a secretary can keep tabs of, or somebody, or I can do that, I guess. Why not? Okay. Mr. O'Leary.
Judy Hall, Kathy Dardino, Patricia Harrington.
Mr. Yule.
Judy Hall, Kathy Dardino, Patricia Harrington.
Mrs. Manapelli.
Judy Hall, Kathy Dardino, and Patricia Harrington.
Mr. Prisco.
Judy Hall, Kathy Dardino, Patricia Harrington.
Okay, and the chair will vote Judy Hall, Kathy Dardino, and Patricia Harrington. And hopefully, communication with Dawn Gothia, maybe there'd be a liaison, not a liaison, a associate member or something opening up. We don't want to lose anybody that's interested.
Definitely.
Right.
Okay. We have Martin's Pond Study Committee next. I'm not sure what order you have.
Mr. Chairman, I move It's Martin's Pond. I move to place in nomination the following name for reappointment as member of the Martin's Pond Study Committee for a term to expire on December 31st, 2018. One opening, George Cangiano Jr., 1 Shore Road, and he's an incumbent.
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Leary. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following name for reappointment as member of the North Reading Cultural Council for a term to expire on December 31st, 2018. Openings 1, Stephanie Baker, 8 Tower Hill Road, incumbent.
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Leary. Any discussion?
I apologize to Mrs. Baker for, it took me a while to get around to her stuff, so should have been here last meeting, I apologize. But no, in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Unanimous? Next?
I guess I should apologize too then
I was way behind.
for sending Jane
We're all
emails up
busy.
till this morning and this afternoon. Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following name for appointment as member of the Taxation Aid Committee for a term to expire on December 31st, 2008. One opening.
Second. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Barbara Campbell, 13 Hillside Road.
I still second it.
Second by Mr.
Okay,
Yule.
she's a new candidate.
Yes. Mr. Chairman?
Who's on that committee now? Mr.
Well, this committee requires one resident and 2 employees of the town, which would be
The town
the
treasurer?
treasurer and
or the
Mary
town-
Preddy.
Town
Mary
collector?
Penny,
Elder Services.
Mary Elder Services,
Mhm.
and I'm missing somebody now.
Yourself.
Oh, it's not
Eight
myself.
liaison.
No, but,
Yeah, he's a voting member. There's 5 voting members.
Debbie Carboni,
Okay,
Oh, the assessor.
and the assessors office, that's what I was forgetting.
okay.
So, we finally have someone that can be here during the day.
Oh, good.
So, it's a difficult position, committee member to fulfill, because it's usually done during the daytime hours, so.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
I second it.
And you're making a recommendation?
I'm making a recommendation,
All
yes,
in
that Barbara
favor?
Campbell.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Process Serving Constables, Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following names for reappointment or appointment as process serving constables for a term to expire on December 31st, 2016. There are 5 openings. Paula DeRosiers, 5 Aldersgate Way, incumbent. David Rosati, 8 Chester Street, incumbent. John Ferriello, 1 Sullivan Road, incumbent. Paul Dorsey, 10 Northridge Drive, incumbent. Douglas Lab, 130 Chestnut Street, incumbent. Are these to be put on file? To be read, or?
Yeah,
Yes,
they'd
it'd
be
be
read,
read, yes, they,
Neil E. Rooney, 13 Pomeroy Road, file. Amy Laurie, 7 Elmer Road, file.
Okay, so we have 5 openings and we have 7
Oh, I see them already.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
candidates.
And you
Right.
second
Do I
it?
hear
have
a
to
second?
Yeah, I'm second.
Do I hear a second?
Yeah, I
Second
didn't
by
want to.
Mr. Yule.
Yeah.
Mr. Yule.
Okay, gave a lot of thought to this, going back and forth in the thought process. I can find nothing with regard to the incumbents that would indicate that they handled the position in a way that is inconsistent with being a process-serving constable. My tug-of-war with myself is that I do feel that someone like Neil E. Rooney should be on there because of his military record and his capability of handling the position and for all the work that he's done within the community. But that would require, I'd have to justify that by someone not living up to the performance of the position. And one, I couldn't find anything. 2, I don't have, there's, in our bylaw, there's no job description, so to speak, for that for that position. So at this point, I would recommend that all of the incumbents, 1 through 5, be approved at this point. Now, if someone else wants to have a different opinion, then that's fine, I'd be receptive to that.
Okay. Any other comments? We'll do again a roll call vote. Mr. O'Leary.
Miss Paula DeRosa, John Fiorello, Paul Dorsey, Douglas Lab, Neil Rooney.
Is, who'd you not vote?
The second one.
David
What?
Rosati.
The second one.
Oh, okay. Ms. Steele.
Yes, I would likewise go with Paula C. DeRoches, John Fiorello, Paul Dorsey, Douglas Lab, and Neil Rooney.
Mr. Menapelli.
Paula DeRosier, David Rosati, John Fiorello, Paul Dorsey, and Douglas Lab.
Okay. Mr. Prisco.
Paula DeRochers, Dave Rosati, John Ferriello, Paul Dorsey, Douglas Lab.
And the chair votes Paula DeRoches, David Rosati, John Ferriello, Douglas Lab.
You skip Paul.
Miss Paul or you have one more to pick.
You have one more pick.
Who did I miss? Paul Dorsey?
Yes.
Yeah, if you're looking for an incumbent, yes.
You're right.
So that was,
So
the incumbents are reappointed.
the incumbents will remain.
And 3, yeah.
Okay. Detail constable.
I'm gonna check with you back with your vote.
Oh,
I think I did it
send-
right,
I didn't send it to Mr.
Okay, good, all right. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following name for reappointment as a detail constable for a term to expire on December 31st, 2016.
Second.
Jerry Berg.
Now he's second.
There is no
Second
address.
by
again.
Mr. Yule.
And again,
There's no address.
I'm a mind reader. You said that in your mind, right? Didn't you? Yes, I second it. With regard to the detail, I have a question on that before I discuss Mr. Berg. Is there a limit, and I couldn't find anything in the bylaws, is there a limit to the number of detail constables that the police department can have?
Mr.
It's more of a policy, it's a
Yeah.
policy.
Yeah, I'm not aware of a limit, but my understanding is that the policy has been not to appoint detail constables, and that this individual is the remaining holdover from that change of policy. So grandfathered, I guess, would be the term. And he's been, continued to be reappointed, but from a policy standpoint, the town has not appointed additional detail constables. And I believe that was based on both the selectmen's policy position and feedback from the chief of police, if I remember correctly.
Chief of police back then? I don't remember. I vaguely recall during my last time on the board that we had some discussion on this. There were some issues. Excuse me. And, but you said policy, just to clarify, when you say policy, is it a written policy? I don't, I was looking for
The
this,
issue,
but I
the
didn't find
issue
it.
has nothing to do with this, as I recall.
No, there were two holdover,
Yeah.
if I might, Mr. Chairman. We used to have more detail constables, serving constables. And then prior police chief recommended against it for liability purposes, all this, but then wanted to protect the incumbents that were there. And there were two incumbents remaining. One of them, the board chose not to reappoint,
Right.
and younger Mr. Berg here, whose grandfather at a very young age, is the holdover. And so he's still performing functions, and in addition to that, he and the patrol officer.
Correct.
And I would believe, as has been in the past, that the police chief would recommend.
He did
Yeah.
recommend.
Okay,
I guess
so you
that's where I
recommend
was-
the
that's where I'm
reappointment
getting-
then.
That's where I'm
Because of
becoming
the
confused,
services
so-
that this individual has been providing, but we were not, back, a few years back, we had decided, sort of as a consensus, not to engage in the activity any longer.
Okay, so in essence, what you're saying, if I understand correctly, that if he's not renewed, then this position will basically cease.
Goes away altogether.
It goes away
Yeah.
altogether.
Unless
And-
the board at the time decides to renew it and do
Right.
something else, or expand it.
Right. Well, Chief Murphy gave a good, from what I could see, a very good recommendation, saying that he's met all the qualifications and so on. So at this point, I see no reason to contradict his recommendation at this point. So I will have to recommend it based on.
So on the motion for detailed constable, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Any more? Yeah, sure,
Mr.
yeah.
Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following name for appointment to the Cable Advisory Committee for an indefinite term. Gil Hurlbert, 1 Green Meadow Drive. He's a new appointment.
Second?
Second by Mr. O'Leary. Who's got the cable advisory committee?
I do.
Oh,
Don't you remember?
You should know that.
I did meet him at one of their meetings. I haven't been in attendance
By
at
the
all.
way, there was a gentleman from the cable advisory committee, I think the chair was at the NORCAM meeting the other day.
Excuse me.
But again, strike while the iron's hot. He's a willing volunteer for this, and I would
Breathing,
recommend that we
living.
appoint him. He seems very
Right.
interested to participate.
Great. So we have a motion and a second. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following name for reappointment as a member of the Board of Appeals for a term to expire on December 31st, 2018. There's one opening. Joseph Keys, 10 Swan Pond Road. He's an incumbent.
Second?
Motion by Ms. Minipelli, second by Mr. O'Leary. Mr. O'Leary, you
I
have
would respectfully ask that board members support Mr. Key's reappointment. He's been a long-serving member on the Board of Appeals, served us well, keeps us out of court, does a great job, and we appreciate his services, so I strongly recommend.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh,
Unanimous?
no.
Oh, sorry. No?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted discussions and
Nope.
stuff, okay.
Nothing to discuss.
Motion carries 4-1. One vote against.
Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following names for reappointment as members of the Conservation Commission for a term to expire on December 31st, 2018. There are 2 openings. Jonathan Cody, 57 Spruce Road, incumbent. Laurie Mitchner, 174 Marblehead Street, incumbent.
Second?
Second by Mr. O'Leary.
Mr. Chairman, once again, 2 long-serving members of the Conservation Commission step forward again, seeking reappointment. And again, I would urge the board to support their nomination.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following names for appointment or reappointment as members of the Hillview Commission for a term to expire on December 31st, 2018. There are 2 openings. George Stack, 11 Swan Pond Road, incumbent. Lou DeFranzo, 2 Lady Slipper Lane, new. Sean Delaney, 7 Dick Street, new. Rick Arrington, 8 Tacoma Circle, new. Paul Dorsey, 10 Northridge Drive, file. Mark Chrysos, 4 Mentis Farm Lane, file. Vincent Rigucci, 167 North Street, file.
Second?
Second by Mr. O'Leary. Mr. O'Leary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, we have many capable people, never a shortage of people who want to serve in the Hillview, which is a good thing. But a great list of people who are willing to serve. We appreciate their interest. I'll be recommending George Stack and Lou DeFranzo. Mr. Stack, as most of you know, is a longest-serving, original member of the Hillview Commission and Hillview Study Committee, longtime chairman, and certainly deserves our support for reappointment. I'm going to be recommending Mr. DeFranzo. He's a local attorney with a very reputable national and international law firm, has attended several meetings, met with the commission. Commission recommendation will be for Mr. DeFranzo. Again, been involved in the community, particularly youth organizations over the years, now has time to devote. And with the decision of Mr. Mike Junta not to seek reappointment, for those of you who know Mike, he's been also an attorney, and I just want to acknowledge his efforts, and I think the town administrator will back this up, in the most recent year as far as getting through this time of trying to get a new contract and a new vendor into the facility, putting countless hours and effort and resources to bring us to fruition on the new contract with Mr. Yeba. So I want to acknowledge Mr. Junta's service to the community and the commission. Terrific member. Sorry to see him go and not seek reappointment. So again, recommendation is George Stack, Lou DeFranzo.
Mr. Manapelli?
Did the commission also make the recommendation for those two candidates?
I went to commission meetings. Generally, you confer with the chair,
Yeah.
and then I spoke with other members of the commission, and yes.
Mr. Prisco?
I'd like to also just thank Mr. Junta for his time on the commission. The short time that I was as a liaison there, I have to say he was very impressive. His knowledge and his legal strength to be able to support the board through some tough decisions, especially with all the contract changes that they had. So the town is in great debt to him for the amount of years he put in and the time. So I just wanted to wish him well. And I'd like the board to consider Mr. Delaney as well, because of some of the reasons of Mr. Junta was there. He's got some of the very similar backgrounds with his experience in law, especially in real estate law. And he plays a lot of golf at Hillview. That's his main course. That's where he holds his handicap. That's where he plays the majority of the rounds. He brings the perspective of a user to the commission. I think is very valuable to this commission. They've had some challenges over there, and I'm hopeful with the new irrigation system things will get better. But I think Mr. Delaney brings that user perspective to the commission that I don't know Mr. DeFranzo or really I don't know if I've ever seen him out there golfing or anything, but I think that's a big perspective that needs to be considered. So I'm going to be voting in favor of Mr. Delaney as well as Mr. Stack.
Just as a point, Mr. Chairman, every one of the applicants here have frequent Hillview Country Club, Hillview Golf Course, so that I think they all fall into the same category. And again, I have the utmost respect for Mr. Delaney, being a fellow colleague here on the board, SSBC, and Sean brings a lot to the table, certainly. But I think Mr. DeFranzo's expertise, as far as in the law, is better suited at this particular time for the commission. The chairman is certainly as familiar as I am as to what the needs are of the commission, and I didn't make a recommendation lightly. So I truly believe that Mr. DeFranzo will serve well, and again, that's the recommendation. Thank you.
Mr. Yu?
Yes, I think I'd like to thank Mr. Junta for his time and his efforts and the work that he's done. He's done quite a bit of work for the Hillview, and his legal expertise, I would say, would be lost, but I think there's some good names on this list that can possibly do as well as Mr. Junta has. Mr. Stack speaks for himself. He's one of the originals, is that correct?
One of the originals, and he's been providing great stewardship all these years.
Is he?
He is the current chairman.
Is he the remaining
He-
original?
Actually, Mr. Hatchie was one of the original ones, but he had a break-in service for a while. George didn't have any break-in service.
So, Mr. Stack very much speaks for himself, and he's very much involved. With regard to the others, I think that they all could play a positive role in the Hillview. My experience with Mr. DeFranzo, youth activities and so on, I found him to be a very reasonable person in the way that he addresses issues, and very careful and looking at the big picture. He has a very clear understanding from all of the experiences that I've had in interacting with Mr. DeFranzo. But that doesn't, I don't mean to say that others don't, but I know him through personal experience. So I would be in support of Mr. DeFranzo and Mr. Stack.
Ms. Mantelli.
I might as well add, since, everyone else is, but I really don't golf, so I haven't interacted with many, but I do know, I appreciate the strong recommendations. I do know Mr. Delaney from all the interactions here, so he is someone I'm familiar with in terms of, but I'm sure all the rest of the candidates are equally as qualified, but I thought this is the lawyer post, right? That
Pretty much,
you want
the
filled,
chairman
too.
will
Yeah.
confirm that generally we've always had an attorney on the commission, and they've served a vital role in advising the commission and saving the town money, lots of money. We get lots of free legal service. So it's I believe it's vital that we do have an attorney on the board. And maybe you can concur, Mr. Chairman, in relation to the need.
So before I call a vote, I'll make a couple of comments. I served on the Hillview Commission for 12 years, and actually I was put on by the Board of Selectmen at a time when it was total chaos. What I learned over those 12 years is, first of all, the Hillview is a business, and the members of the Hillview Commission are running a business. And if you had a business and you were hiring the CEO, if you were hiring the finance person, the CFO, you were hiring an attorney for the corporation, you would look at their skill set and you would match it against the needs of the enterprise. And when we've gotten in trouble with the Hillview back, it got politicized to the point where somebody ran for Board of Selectmen, promised his campaign manager he'd get him on the board and things like that. And it's a business. We can't afford to let that happen. If we go back to the history, with the exception of a few years when things got a little out of hand, it's run as a business. The guys have generated tons and tons of capital for the community, which has been invested in a number of different things, like the park, and there's the turf field, a couple that stand out the most, but there's been a whole slew of other items, from tennis courts to bathrooms to parking lot to rebuilding of the pro shop that probably no one remembers that, but when the town took it over, it was just a little shack. And this is a hard decision, because I know Mr. Delaney very well, and I spent some time interviewing Lou, and it comes down to the issue of the background of the attorney, and that's where I made it's a very hard decision. Sean has done a lot for the community, and hopefully he'll do a lot more over time. So sometimes you have to make some hard decisions. Anyway, at this point, I will call for a roll call vote, starting with Mr. O'Leary.
Mr.
I'm
Stack?
assuming that we're all voting for 1, 2, or 3 on the list. But I'll write down any others, just as I try to keep tally of this, because we have
George Stack and
you-
Lou DeFranco. George Stack, Lou DeFranco.
Stack, Lou DeFranco.
Ms. Minipelli,
Stack and Delaney.
Mr. Prisco.
George Stack, Sean Delaney.
And I will vote for George Stack and Mr. DeFranco. George Stack and Mr. DeFranco, Lou DeFranco.
Let me just-
Next item?
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following names for reappointment as members of the Historic District Commission for a term to expire on December 31st, 2018. There are 3 openings. Mabel DeFranza, 25 Bow Street, incumbent. Patrick O'Rourke, 1 Peabody Street, incumbent. Will Burkmeyer, 85 Park Street, incumbent.
Second?
Second by Mr. O'Leary. How many positions are there?
Three.
There are 3 and 3 incumbent.
The three, Mr. Chairman, the three incumbents have all stepped forward to, and are willing to serve for another term, which we are grateful for. So I would highly recommend with them, reappoint them, the 3 of them.
You a second,
I
right?
second that.
Any other comments? On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
That was an easy one, right? This is Historical Commission. Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following names for reappointment as members of the Historical Commission for a term to expire on December 31st, 2018. There are 3 openings, 2 candidates. Christopher Hayden, 20 Swan Pond Road, incumbent. Les Masterson, 291 Park Street, incumbent.
Second?
Second by Mr. O'Leary. Mr. O'Leary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the clerk indicated, there are 3 openings and 2 incumbents who are seeking reappointment. Kathy Benz, who's incumbent, did not choose to seek reappointment, and again, we thank her for her willingness to serve and service she's provided. And again, there is an opening now in the Historical Commission. So I would recommend the reappointments of Mr. Hayden and Mr. Masterson.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following name for reappointment as member of the Water Commission for a term to expire on December 31st, 2018. 3 openings. Well, 2 now, right? 2 alternates?
After this appointment, there will be 2.
Okay. Stephen Coriali Jr., 49 Abbott Road, he's an incumbent.
Second?
Second by Mr. O'Leary. Mr. Yule.
Yeah, it's a quick question. You already said that there are 3 openings right now, or there were 2 openings and you're filling the 3rd now? I mean, 2 on there and you're filling the 3rd now?
Based on my reading of the online system from the town clerk, there is 1 regular position vacant prior to this vote being taken, and 2 alternate positions that are vacant. And with this vote, there will only be 2 alternate positions vacant.
Okay.
Does that match your records?
Yes. Just, if I may, just to clarify, when you say there's a member versus an alternate, a member is a voting member, an alternate is not.
Correct.
Okay, so they would only, okay, so does the Water Commission have 3 members plus alternates? That's the point I'm trying to clarify.
I'll defer to the clerk who keeps the records.
I think the
Okay.
Water Commission is short people, at least that was my understanding.
They were short people.
You mean like?
It's one of the.
No, they were in need of additional people.
They have a quorum now, I believe.
Right, that's right, you do, that's right. You have 2 right now, that's correct. And now,
This will
okay. I just said there's 3 openings, and really, there's only 1 opening.
There's 1 opening for a regular voting member
Right.
and 2
For alternates, but
alternates.
that wouldn't,
And we're proposing 1.
okay. I do understand that.
So further discussion.
So there were two. Mrs. Semino filled that, and there was an incumbent whose term is about to expire. So now we need 2 alternates.
That's it.
For the record, I'm looking at the town clerk's summary right now. There are a total of 7 positions. 5 of them are full-time positions and 2 of them are alternates.
Okay.
We appointed a new member this evening who took the remaining vacant seat, and we are proposing to reappoint the 5th member, which will leave 2 alternate positions.
I don't want to take away anything. I just don't know why it says 3 openings, but I'll say that for a later conversation.
The 3 openings is correct, but 2 of them are alternate positions, so it's really only 1 full-time position.
And we have 1 candidate.
Correct.
Well, the incumbent.
Yes.
And we want to try to get the alternates in place because of all the changes that we're about to embark upon.
Forgive me for being a bit of a...
No, it's a valid
So,
question.
on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Um,
Unanimous.
Did
Next.
Mr. O'Leary second that one?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, man, these papers are a mess now. Okay.
This is why I can't...
List goes on and on and on.
Now we're off. Okay.
That should be the last one.
That is it for appointments?
Should be it. Do we have licenses there to sign or something?
I believe the board acted on the
We're
supplemental.
all
We
right.
did these
Premises
already?
license.
Oh, I just
Those are all
didn't,
done.
I need to pass them around for signatures.
Ah.
Could have had you people
What's that?
working.
Did we miss anything?
We need to sign those,
I
Jane?
don't think, yes, for the ABCC.
Mr. Chairman, in terms of the voting, you have voted on all the motions that we prepared for this evening.
What?
You have voted on all of the motions that we prepared this evening. There
Yes.
is still some documentation that requires signature.
Right,
however.
understood. I'd just like to make a comment before we move on, is that, tonight we've taken a moment to thank someone that's leaving the committee. And, I think that we owe it to all of those members that are on committees,
That's true.
whether they're being reappointed or not, and those that are new that we're appointing to a committee. Our thanks for their volunteering and putting their time into helping make the town work, make it a better place.
We did one on cover,
TA
right?
report.
Too bad these people don't want to be alternates on the water committee. Let's get them. High demand for Hillview and constables.
There's a duplicate on there, Lee. That's awesome.
It's TA report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This is one that
I
we
did not
did.
submit a written report in advance of this evening's meeting, but I would just make two comments. And the first is that the police chief has informed me that AAA has recognized the department with a silver award. It's the 10th consecutive year that the department has received the Silver Safety Award for overall outstanding achievements in traffic safety and continuing efforts to educate and protect the citizens of the community. Of particular note is that Detective Scott Hilton received the Traffic Hero Safety Award for making several improvements to traffic, bicycle, and pedestrian safety during the 20 years he served as a North Reading Police Department safety officer prior to be promoting to detective. So I congratulate the department under Chief Murphy's leadership as well as Detective Tilton. Secondly, I would note a recognition to the town's employees, in particular the Public Works employees, who I know have been quietly and under the radar preparing for winter weather, and despite the fact that it is not here, and hoping for the fact that it never arrives, a considerable amount of effort has gone into preparing the town to keep our roads clear in a timely fashion. And I just would note that. My final comment would just to be to recognize all the town's employees and to wish them a happy holiday season and thank them for their service to their community. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is that it, Michael?
Papers down.
Michael, do you want to start tonight?
Sure.
Old or new business?
Okay. This is yours. Well, I really actually don't have anything tonight. I just wanted to wish everyone on the board and your families. Oh, yes. Oh, I forgot all about that.
Oh,
There
Oh,
is
yes.
something.
This is my new board I'm gonna keep right here for the rest of the next year. I forgot, I thought you were gonna do this, but I will do it. if you
no,
don't
you're
mind.
certainly welcome to do it.
No, I'll do it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You
if
were
don't
there.
mind. So this
Jeff
week,
was there, too.
this week, if you recall, several months ago, I brought forward the community compact cabinet that Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Ludo had created at the start of their administration. And the compact was designed to help the small little cities and towns that don't have the opportunities the bigger ones do to get the best practices support from the state. It's a very creative way, I think, the way they approached it. And they've created these, I'd say, probably 40 different best practices. And what the cabinet allows you to do is pick 3 out of the several that they have. And when you sign up for them, you actually sign a contract that they're going to support you and you're going to support them in these best practices. And so we signed up actually for the town. We signed up for 2. First one was regional transportation, and the second one was for infrastructure. Obviously, the infrastructure one's very simple for us because we're trying to do water and the timing is perfect. But we're also looking at opportunities for potential wastewater, short-term and long-term. The regional transportation is something that is part of our strategic plan, something that we've really struggled with. I know I brought at the last meeting an opportunity that I'm going to work with the CPC and our town planner, Mrs. McKnight, to try to find us a plan that we create for regional transportation. But the nice thing about this compact is we can seek the state's best practices. We can seek their assistance in helping us through that process. And then the infrastructure, obviously, we're already well underway. Mr. Cannavale and his team is working with the state. They're working with MWRA in regards to water. We're working with them a little bit in regards to wastewater infrastructure. One of the things we were able to do already under this compact in a very short time, we actually got a grant, $25,000 grant? $30,000 grant. That we spent not a ton of time, but we put together a pretty good write-up, and the grant was to help us with infrastructure. And what we did is we took that massive report that we did for wastewater for the town, which was a very good study. It was worth every penny we paid for it. And where we've talked in the past, the best option for us right now on paper is going through the Greater Lawrence Sewer District. That's Soaring, Concord Street, Main Street, Martins Pond, and some maybe town buildings along the way, and connecting to the Greater Lawrence Sewer District. Big picture, best plan. But unfortunately, we don't, that's a significant amount of money and probably not gonna happen anytime soon. So this infrastructure grant is gonna allow us to phase it and look at a phasing option. And this money we're gonna use to study Concord Street and Concord Street only. So if you drive down Concord Street today, you look at it, imagine what Concord Street could look like tomorrow if we actually had SOAR. And if you remember back, well, 5 years ago, we had this company called FXM do a study for us. Paid about 50 grand for the study. But they showed in that study that if we soared Concord Street and Main Street, we would have well over $1 million in additional revenues for the town. So that's what this infrastructure grant will help us do, is allow us to do a study with MWRA and other engineering firms to see if the existing pipe there in Wilmington is an option for us to connect our existing commercial-based property owners to storage. It's very early stages, and that's what this money is for, us to sort of vet that process out. And I think that's exciting for us from an economic development standpoint, if we're actually able to take that forward.
I think I'll just comment, Michael, just so it's clear. The concept was to see if we could extend that pipe further down Concord Street.
Correct. The existing connection in Wilmington, come down almost a mile, 0.9 of a mile, down to probably the little Cherokee Farm is approximately, give or take a little more, a little less, and just study that area, see if that's a possibility. But we do know that that kind of investment will create great revenues and will change a lot of, not all, but will change a lot of the opportunities for the existing commercial properties. And that's what we're hoping through. So this compact that we signed with Governor Peludo, Mr. Messeri signed it with her present, and that's what this is here, and we're part of that team, and they're gonna assist us through that process. And so I want to thank the governor and Lieutenant Governor Peludo for giving us this opportunity, but especially Representative Jones. He did attend the event. He also helped us get our compact processed. I think we're one of now 50 or 45 or 50 other cities and towns that are members now. So it's really starting to grow. People are starting to understand that this is a great opportunity for us. So I'll pass this around for the
Yeah,
board members.
our intent is to hang it up here somewhere at some point. Pass it down, I've already obviously
It's
seen it.
pretty fancy.
And then the last thing is, just again, where I started off, is just to wish everybody happy holidays, and I'm excited for the new year. I think this has been a great year for us, from the standpoint of some of the things that we were able to really focus on in our strategic plan. I'm so happy we've taken it very seriously, and we focused a lot of attention on it, and I hope that we continue that next year. And that's it. Happy New Year to everyone, and happy holidays to all of you.
Okay, next.
Catherine?
I just wanted to, like the chairman did, thank everybody that stepped forward. It seems like there was a great pool of people stepping forward to serve and volunteer their time and their efforts. And hoping that the people that did not get appointed might be able to consider work on other committees or sticking around on file for other vacancies or alternate positions. And I wanted to thank the Selectmen for allowing me to go to Noah Spicer's ceremony for his Eagle Scout elevation. I think it would be great if we could have him in here too, just to kind of acknowledge him publicly, because it's the first time I've ever attended one of those ceremonies. It was quite a thing. They actually have 2 Eagle Scouts in their family. Eli is also an Eagle Scout. That's a major achievement. These are our leaders, our youth leaders. They'll be our
Fantastic.
future community leaders, and I think it'd be nice if in addition to, that was great, so thanks for letting me go, but it'd be great to have him here, if that's something
That'd be
the board
great.
would consider. It's good to publicize too,
Mhm.
beyond that
Beyond that little,
arena.
their own little
Sure,
meeting, yeah.
that he did a lot of
Mhm.
community service to achieve that, and he's a great role model, I think, for people. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year, and that's about it. I'm enjoying the time with all of you and get to know this group and having,
Thank you.
lots of fun here. Believe it or not.
You've made it over the biggest hurdle here.
The
License
payment,
renewals
I-
and reappointments.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I still have to
They're not
sign
all
some.
done yet, though.
I know.
Jeffrey.
That's it.
Yeah, thank you for doing that, by the way.
That's great.
It's a very special event. It truly is. I think the first one I did was Nick Bailey's Eagle Scout. He did it, I guess, years ago now. But it is, I think North Reading has probably the most Eagle Scouts that I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I mean,
based on my experience, I think you're right, Jen.
last year they had, I think, 5. Actually, they had 4 in one event, but then the 5th one was, and Eli was one of those. So they had 5 last year. And of course, we had young Christopher Nearing here, and he's working towards his. So there seems to be like a never-ending procession of Eagle Scouts. A very special town that we have, I think. A couple things. I'm going to be meeting on the 29th with the Bring Back Forth committee on the 29th. And they've been doing quite a few fundraisers, and they're trying to finalize their plans for the July 4th, which from what I gather so far, it's going to be only one day. And the fundraising has been going great, but they're still a little short. And so I'm going to be speaking with them on the 29th on that. They're hoping they don't have to, but they may come before us and ask us as a follow-up to a meeting that we had about a year ago for some short funds to help them get over that hurdle. But they don't know that number now because they don't have everything together at this point. I think they can have another fundraiser going in the process anyway. Also, I might be here a little Grinch at this moment, snow removal. I know we don't have a lot of snow out there at this time, okay? Have we put in a notice in the paper?
Yep, it was in there.
It did? Okay, I didn't see that. Okay,
It
great.
was, a couple weeks ago.
Okay, perfect. And I reviewed the bylaws and to get clarification on this, and I would like for us to send a notice to all the businesses within, giving them their warning that when it does snow, that they're responsible for removing the snow. The bylaw doesn't state or clarify that it has to snow before the first notice or warning goes. And it's a warning, it's not a,
It's a notification of what the
notification.
bylaw calls for.
right,
So
okay.
it's not a shot across the bow.
All right, so I'd like to get ahead of that game so that we don't have to be reactionary, I'd rather us be proactive and send a notice to them now that it is winter. That there's, we've had it in the paper, that they can receive a notice. So I-
Officially today, I think.
What?
Tomorrow, officially winter.
Yeah.
Was it-
Today.
Today.
Haven't we done that already?
It already went out.
No, that's the add to the,
We've advertised in the paper, the Public Works Department is mapping all of the properties on the corridors that are in question for the sidewalk bylaw. In particular, it's going to be Main Street that's going to get the bulk of the
Right.
attention, for a mailing to go out to advise them of the bylaw changes and the ability to recover the costs as well. But they expect that that'll go out in the mail by the end of the month.
So
So
it's in the
okay.
works.
Oh,
It is in-
okay,
it is in
great.
the works.
Oh, good,
Yes,
I
okay.
thought it was already done.
Is it
Anything else, Jeff?
of our ordinance? I mean,
We can see that we do, yeah.
And finally, I just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to my fellow board members, to the community at large, and to the employees of the town of North Reading. Everybody deserves a Merry Christmas and a very, very happy and prosperous New Year.
All set? Mr. O'Leary?
I think, first, just like to start off with the Hillview. We read about it in the newspaper, and we've talked about it, as far as the terms and conditions, but it's great to finally have that contract settled and finalized. Again, great effort put in through the Hillview Commissioners and Mr. Gilberto, Town Council, and Mr. Yeber and his council, and who else? We had a whole bunch of other people.
in particular.
Mr. Junter in particular. And again, I think it's going to be a great long-term relationship. It's going to work out well. Having said that, though, I'd like to acknowledge Pat Lee and his service to the community and manager of Hillview. Again, I think he's done a great job up there. He made a business decision where it's time to move on. We respect that. And we're very fortunate now to have another good person going in there to operate the Hillview. So that's another relief. And I know most of the commissioners, or all the commissioners that are sitting there, hope to never have to go through this again in their tenure. So it's, keep our fingers crossed for that. I'd just also like to acknowledge the passing of former retired firefighter William Shoemaker. Bill Shoemaker was a long-term firefighter here in the community, a long-term resident of the community, passed away last week, and offer our condolences not just to his family, but also to the whole North Reading firefighting department, because when one of the retirees, they lose one of them, they lose a family member. So condolences to the North Reading Fire Department and Bill's wife Carol and his children. But a fabulous guy, wonderful guy.
Is he still living in town, Steve?
No, he had moved up to Maine a few years
Yeah.
ago. Yeah, moved out of town, but he was a longtime resident and put in about 20 years or more with the fire department, and unfortunately passed away. And other than that, just Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Looking forward to the new year, working with all of you, and Again, to all the town employees, thank them very much for their service and wish them a happy and healthy holiday season. Thank you.
So, I a few things. One is that, both Kate and I told you, I think at the last meeting, we took a tour of the school technology. And since then, there was a NORCAM meeting, which I attended, and trying to move things forward, improve the communication, which seems to be going along just right. At the meeting was, I believe, the chairman, his name slips my mind now, of the Cable Advisory Committee.
Mrs. Strode.
Ed Strode.
Strode.
Ed
Yeah,
Strode.
Ed. And he visited to talk about, the forthcoming licenses and to get some input and things. And one subject had come up, which I had been given some thought to because of what's been going on in the industry, but, the revenue, the funds, the source of funds for NORCAM come from the cable bills. And if you've been reading in the paper, and on the news, people are dumping their cable subscriptions and they're going to streaming on the internet. And potentially there's a risk there associated with the amount of revenue that NORCAM might operate in the future, unless some laws have changed or whatever. But it's something to be looking at going forward, especially as it's related to the contracts that are going to come due in the future. It's just something to keep on our radar screen as we go forward. Today, with the help of John Bernard, NORCAM was invited to the training session that was scheduled on the use of the equipment, which I attended. Started at 3 o'clock. I left there just a little before 5 o'clock. I just finished up on the distance learning lab. The individual that was there doing the training was a consultant, evidently. They did some of the programming for Orca. And programming using the core instrument in that panel. And some of you have been in there, seen the panel behind the door. I don't think all the questions were answered, but clearly some of the things that NORCAM were interested in connecting up the audio to the system. It's feasible. It's not the hardware is there to do it. The program doesn't cover it at the moment. It doesn't seem like it's a large leap to get that piece done. From there they were going. I didn't. I had to leave because I needed something to eat before we got to the meeting here. But they were going down to the Performing Arts Center and to the gymnasium. So it looks like there's some progress being made and getting people to know how that whole system works. I'm talking about for the school and then NORCAM from the point of view of how they might interface with it to do a better job of recording meetings and town meetings and things. I was told there, I haven't seen it work, that the broadcasts from the Performing Arts Center for a town meeting can be simultaneously broadcast on the screens in the distance learning lab, in fact, in any screen in the school, for that matter, which was good news. So progress is being made, the communication is better, and
Sure.
hopefully both the school department and NORCAM will benefit from working together. Another point Michael didn't mention, but we were driving down to Melrose to participate in this ceremony to get the compact, and as we were driving by Mullen Field, Michael had a brainstorm. I think he's been thinking about it for a while, and he failed to mention it, but he's got all the credit for it. And I thought it was a genius idea, and I think it's worth doing a little bit of a study. But one of the problems town of North Reading has is, we don't really have access to the commuter rail. Oh, we do, because we can drive down to Wilmington or or Reading, but then we have to drive around and hope to find a parking space and hope we don't get a ticket in the process. And he said there's a lot of land at Mullen Field, there's trees and stuff that maybe could be, trees could be removed, maybe we could build a commuter parking lot and maybe work out some kind of a bus service, you know,
Well, because
between the two stations.
because right now the bus comes by us, goes up to North Andover, and it goes over to Reading, so it's coming by us. I mean, that's one option, there's other options too. Under the compact, they can help us do that study, but I think it just seemed like a logical place to build a park and ride for us, to be able to get our residents, you know, back out to the commuter rails and get into the city of Boston and get home from the city of Boston. I mean, it's a logical location.
Just something I think we should put on a future agenda, maybe to discuss, and, you know, maybe it's something we can use some of the compact money for. Yes?
As a result of that discussion, I did speak with the town planner, who is a liaison with the Metropolitan Area
Mhm.
Planning Council, who will be the conduit for the technical assistance for the regional transportation portion of the compact. And at the moment, and from the beginning, our application was tailored to additional paratransit, so something like the ride in town. But we identified that this is an issue that we may want to explore more aggressively. We didn't speak to a particular site, but to a particular concept.
Mhm.
And it turns out that there is actually a pretty substantial regional transportation grant application underway that this would fall neatly into. We got some pretty good feedback from MAPC with regard to it. I provided that update to the Economic Development Committee on Wednesday evening. So I think it's something that we have an option for, that our compact itself might not necessarily be the vehicle, but there is a tool that's there for us to have a seat at the table. And
The
the town
other
planner.
point is having the parking lot there where, you know, some form of transportation would be available. You've got the 402 apartments, people may want to make use of that too. So there may be a, you know, a win-win on both sides here. Yes, Mr. O'Leary.
Yeah, one of the things just have to be concerned, I don't want to be a killjoy here, because it's a good idea. But when we got that land from the state initially, back in like 1990,
Yes.
I think it was for open space and recreation, so there may be some sort of a deed restriction on what we can use it for. But we had also talked about looking into, well, the postal facility was thinking about leaving similar idea for park and ride,
Mm-hmm.
you know, next to Walmart, some of the land over there, if we could coordinate the effort with, again, depending upon whether the postal facility was gonna be vacating, and again, another good location, it's right on 28, and parking lot's already there. But, no, it's a good
Well,
idea.
we weren't talking about taking the park at all. We're just talking about expanding that parking lot, the existing parking lot.
Yeah,
I
but
do
what he's
know-
saying
No, but I
is
think,
that
but as far as, you know, it depends, but
the land
it's
may
defining
not
the use.
be,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna have to jump through some hoops.
and I did talk to Senator Tar about getting us a seat at the table regarding the postal building, and he's gonna follow back up with us. He was gonna talk to
yeah.
Congressman Bolton's
Congressman Bolton,
office here and get us a real, you know, somebody that really knows what's going on. So I plan to follow up with him.
We had a
first thing.
contact a few years back, I think his name was Mr. Bashara, I don't know if he's still there, but
I don't think
Congressman
so.
Chaney put us in touch with, and then
Right,
the postal facility changed their mind,
right.
you know, but that's a key parcel in our community that we need to capitalize on, look at strongly.
And then lastly, you know, first of all, I'd like to thank all of my fellow board members for your support. And, you know, as I look back at this year, I think we've worked hard, but we've achieved a lot. And, you know, I think we've built up some momentum to carry into next year. And you know, I look forward to continuing working with everybody to make the town better for all our citizens. And, you know, as I said earlier, I thank all the citizens, volunteers, our town employees for all their efforts for the past year. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year. And I guess we'll entertain a motion to go back into executive session, and we will come out and take a vote
In open session.
in open session.
I anticipate.
And I guess we could, can we reveal the subject matter in public?
It's on the agenda.
Collective
It's on
bargaining.
the agenda.
That's collective bargaining.
And we could always follow up with
Yeah,
Mr. Toro's and give him the details later,
so you don't need to hang around, Bob.
unless you want to.
Yeah, unless you've got nothing better to do.
So with that, I'll entertain a motion to go back into executive session.
So, okay, moved, so moved.
So moved.
Seconded.
Second.
Mr. Yule.
That's the
The
usual
intent,
motion to go
uh,
into executive session for the purpose of collective bargaining. Such discussion would be detrimental to the whatever, to the town. So, and then to come back into open session
Session, the purpose
for
of.
the purposes of ratification, potential ratification of a
Potential
contract.
Didn't I
ratification.
just say that?
Yes, you did. And I'll
Yes, you
second
did.
it. And I'll second it.
Second by Mr. O'Leary. Mr. O'Leary.
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Yule.
Aye.
Ms. Manapelli.
Aye.
Mr. Prisco. Chair votes aye, and I think we'll wait a minute or two for